guys, it's Chronically Jessica and I'm chronically the illest. Thanks for joining my YouTube channel. This is my first episode. On today's episode, I'm going to be answering some frequently asked questions about Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, also known as EDS. Coming to you on film, unedited. What you see is what you get. And bags under my eyes. I'm talking unpenciled in eyebrows. There's a reason for it. I let a student wax my brows one time that was in beauty school, and she waxed off part of my eyebrow. And it unfortunately never grew all the way in as thick as it used to be. So yes, I pencil in. Yeah. So anyway, what I really look like, I just got done dyeing my roots and touching up a little bit of my hair. The reason I'm coming to you guys today unedited is because today is May 1st.
Today is May 1st. Today is May 1st. It's gonna be May.
And that means we're kicking off Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Awareness.
Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Awareness
Month. Woo woo! Woo woo! As such, I've decided to participate? Just kidding. Anyways, I've decided to participate in Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Society's social media challenge. So if I help spread awareness, you guys learn more about EDS, you guys can help somebody, because I guarantee that you know somebody that's been diagnosed. And it helps spread awareness, so which also raises money for the Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Society. Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Society. It's a mouthful. Someone asked me recently if creating my channel, if I would be able to be raw, unedited, exposed, and even more than that, vulnerable. And, you know, today I feel like this challenge has really kicked off a great way to start my YouTube channel. A better way to be vulnerable than literally sitting here with no makeup on, other than I do have some Burt's Bees lip balms. What other way to be vulnerable than sitting here in nothing but tinted chapstick and exposing myself and my illness and what literally makes up my DNA? So here you go, guys. The raw, unedited, exposed, vulnerable Jessica.
Unedited, exposed, vulnerable.
Chronically Jessica.
So Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder that affects my skin, my joints, and my blood vessels. There are fewer than 200,000 cases diagnosed every year. 1 in 5,000 people have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It is diagnosed using the Beighton scale, also genetic testing. Some forms of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome have genetic components. Others forms of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, the genetic components have not been discovered yet. Typically, people see a rheumatologist. I personally see a hematologist because it is a blood disorder. I also have mast cell activation syndrome and dysautonomia on top of that. So I also see a cardiologist. Typically, people see a rheumatologist. I personally see a hematologist because it is a blood disorder. I also have mast cell activation syndrome and dysautonomia on top of that. So I also see a cardiologist. I see a neurologist. I see orthopedic doctors, because with my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, it is common in some forms of Ehlers-Danlos to have scoliosis, which I have had my whole life. It can also be common to have something called spondylolisthesis, which I discovered that I had back when I was pregnant with my second son in 2007. That's how long I've been trying to figure out if I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or not, or what exactly I have. One question that I think is way too personal to ask somebody, I would never just walk up and ask somebody this, but it is a question that I get a lot because we are a blended family. We do have 9 children. I'm not specific about which children are biologically mine and which aren't, because I don't feel like it's right to separate kids like that. Our children do know their other parents and are very involved in their other parents' lives. But when they're in our house, not all of our kids call us both mom and dad, and that's okay because of their ages. It's a personal choice. But I just don't feel like social media is a platform to create a difference as far as like my mom, your dad, my dad, your mom type stuff. So I don't really go into that, but people have asked me, knowing that I've given birth to 6 children and I've had 2 miscarriages, why did you get pregnant if there's a 50% chance that you could pass Ehlers-Danlos syndrome on to your unborn baby? What I have to say in response to that is, 1, I did not know that I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome until after I had my last child. 2nd, you should never ask anybody, regardless of how personally well you know them, whether they are or are not going to be having children and why or why not they have an answer. It's not your business, plain and simple. So that's a pet peeve of mine. I am completely for people that want to be childless by choice. I used to be a guardian ad litem for 6 years. I hold National CASA organization very near and dear to my heart. Adoption is something that is very, very close to me. My father was adopted. My husband was adopted. My best friend was adopted. It's just something I don't feel like you should ask people if you're not in their inner circle, because if you were, you would know. So that being said, no, I did not know that I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome when I got pregnant with any of my children. And do I plan on having more children? Ask my husband and ask me and you'll have different answers. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is very painful. You get very much pain in your muscles, your joints. They get very stiff. You can hyperextend yourself and your body just doesn't tell you that, hey, this hurts, you should stop bending. You just end up overextending your joints, and subluxations happen quite often. Those of us that have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, some of us are pretty good at popping our stuff back into place. I mean, my jaw pops in and out if I take too big of a breath, if I take too big of a bite, if I'm at the dentist too long, getting too much work done, dislocate my jaw and pop it right back into place. I've had one time that I couldn't do it by myself. My husband was able to help me. It's very painful. I've had my knees dislocate. This week, I fell down the steps of my house. My son spilled his oatmeal and I was at the top of the kitchen steps. I must have stepped in it in my socks because I have the gene for Charcot-Marie tooth disease as well, so I'm not sure if I have it, but I do have some kind of neuropathy going on. I could not feel that I stepped in his oatmeal, and when I went to go take my first step to go down to the basement to get my laundry out, I went all the way down the basement steps. I'm talking about 22 steps. Physical traits. People with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome do tend to have translucent skin, visible veins and blood vessels, and velvety soft skin. So I am a quarter North Mexican Apache. I do have Native and Latina descent, and yet you cannot tell. My skin is very translucent. My brother has more melanin than I do, but my skin is a lot more translucent. You can tell other things. You can tell my hair. You can tell my cheekbones. I have blue eyes from my mom, in case you're wondering. Actually, my dad has like a blue, green, gray color. So yeah, he didn't inherit brown eyes anyway. We also have really stretchy skin. Like, it just stretches and stretches for days. A lot of us scar. Oftentimes our scars do not heal very well. We can get stretch marks in the most random places, but not always in places that you would expect. This is my stomach after 6 babies. So the average age of a patient is 41 years old, and the mean age of diagnosis is 28 years old. But most people have to see up to 12 other physicians to cover all of their symptoms and side issues that they have, because most everybody has a co-diagnosis like gastroparesis, because it can also affect your digestive system. EDS is considered a disability. It does not go away, and it is progressive, meaning that it will get worse over time. When the connective tissue is weak or damaged and the nerve endings are affected as well, EDS can affect your brain, your spinal cord, and your central nervous system. Thus, the reason I have dysautonomia on top of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome can cause chronic fatigue. Thus, the reason that many people get diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome before they get their diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, because Ehlers-Danlos syndrome usually takes about 6 years to diagnose. They send you down a rabbit hole before you ever even get even a mention of EDS. And the reasoning for that is because most doctors, they don't cover it very much in medical school. I don't understand why EDS isn't covered as much in medical school, because if there's an issue with your connective tissue, then your tissue can't hold together. Thus, it affects every part of your entire body. So doctors, in addition to normal patients, need to be made aware of EDS this month. That's why I need your help spreading this video and spreading awareness, because the entire month of May, you may know somebody that's been having symptoms for years, and maybe this video can help them. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Chronically Jess, and I'm chronically the illest. Hit like and subscribe for more content.